Butternuts, also known as white walnuts, are delicious nuts that can be grown in the orchard or foraged in your woodlands. It has lower tannin levels than other walnuts, so has a sweet, buttery flavor. This video will show you how to grow them and give you tips to find them out in nature. They are native to the eastern United States and Canada, but you can grow them in zones 3 through 8. A few states do have restrictions, so check. The butternut species is threatened in some areas. We'll talk about butternut canker further in the video, but they are listed as a special concern in Kentucky, vulnerable in New York State, and threatened in Tennessee. Wild butternuts get pretty tall, about 98 feet, but domestic varieties typically grow to between 40 and 60. We have some examples of wild trees that have lived hundreds of years, but the average age is about 75. Fedco, which sells butternut saplings, advises them to be planted 40 feet or 12 meters apart. As well as producing food, they make an attractive shade or landscape tree. Hi, I'm Amy. I spent 29 years living off grid in rural Kentucky, and I love the combination of growing and foraging for our dinner. Thanks for joining me on this video. Keep an eye out for my next book on gardening for backyard wildlife. You can find my books on Amazon. Butternuts need full sun and moist, rich soil, but will grow in other conditions. They appreciate a higher pH of about 6.8 to 7.2, so add some wood ashes or lime to get them off to a good start. They are self fertile, but plant two if you want more abundant crops, or plant within 500 feet of a wild one. They start bearing at 7 to 8 years old after planting and produce 1 to 3 bushels a year at maturity. For foraging, look for them along the south side of woodland creeks and streams. Butternut is found with many other hardwood species such as maple, yellow poplar, oaks, beech, and river birches. The long leaves are alternate and pinnate, meaning arranged opposite each other, except for the one at the end. Butternut flowers from April to June, depending on the location. Male flowers are slender catkins that develop from auxiliary buds, and female flowers are short terminal spikes on the current year's shoots. On young trees, the bark is smooth and light gray to light brown. On mature trees, the bark becomes ash gray and develops narrow, flat topped, shiny ridges. The fruit is an oblong, pointed nut, about 2 inches long, that matures in September and October. The nut is enclosed in a husk that is greenish brown and is covered with dense, sticky hairs. The fruit usually remains on the tree until after leaf fall. For comparison, these are black walnuts. They have a stronger, earthier flavor, and some people find them a bit bitter. The husk is very gooey and produces a black stain. There is also a market for them. Typically, butternuts need a cooler climate than black walnut, which prefers the south. I also have a video on growing and foraging black walnuts if you want to compare them. Unfortunately, a serious disease affects butternuts. Butternut canker has reduced some wild populations by 60%. It is caused by a fungus that also has secondary infections that is spread by vectors. Symptoms of the disease include dying branches and stems. Cankers may develop on the branches. Sadly, trees usually die within several years. The University of Wisconsin recommends making sure that trees are watered and fertilized on a regular basis. Established trees require approximately 1 inch of water per week. I recommend putting compost around the drip line every spring. Spraying young trees with neem oil may help fight fungal problems, but it gets harder to treat adult trees just due to their size. You can propagate a butternut with a gathered nut. In the fall, collect the healthiest ones you can find. They should be free of blemishes and rot and a decent size. Remove the husk from the nut. To make sure the seed to make sure the seed nuts you're using are viable, submerge them in water and discard the ones that float to the top. Then wash the nuts with a 10% bleach and water mix to prevent mold growth over the process. Place the seed nuts in a container with some moist sand and vermiculite and some sphagnum moss. Keep it moist. Store the container in a cool garage or shed at around 40 degrees Fahrenheit for about 3 months to ensure successful stratification. They need a cold chilling period. Use the nuts to make oil or pickle the green nuts for snacking. Husks yield a yellow orange dye. Butternut also makes very nice cabinet wood. The nuts are eaten by deer, birds, and squirrels, and it's a good way to support local wildlife. Squirrels help by distributing the seeds. If this video has been helpful, please boop that like button. I make 2 videos a week on organic gardening and wildlife conservation. Thanks so much for watching, and have a fabulous day.